And welcome back to the second grouping for
the all-day Law and Sovereignty Marathon, standing in your power and sharing the toolbox. Welcome back, everybody, to Wolf Spirit Radio, who is a listener-donated station. Dave Corso is the owner at Wolf Spirit Radio, and he has given us this wonderful opportunity on this 21st of December to come together, and many different hosts from all over the world to come together and share their concepts of what they've learned in their lifetimes. It's called Sharing the Toolbox. So right now we are going to open the call-in lines. If people would like to call in and ask questions, you can call in at 775-657-5973, or you can use Skype. You need to send a friend request to wolfspirit.switchboard, and we can get you in. So until we get our first caller, I'd like to bring Dave on for just a second here. Dave, are you there?
Of course I'm here. Where else would I be?
How long have you been running the station? We have a lot of new listeners, so give them a second here so they understand how long you've been doing this for.
Wolf Spirit Radio was an evolution, so to speak. In 2009, I had a good friend I met over at the Wake and Aware conference named Jeremy. I can't think of his last name right now. He started a radio show called Project Information Generation, or Pig Radio, on Blog Talk Radio. After, I think it was 3 or 4 months, he says, can you take it? So I started Project Information Generation Radio 2, better known as Pig 2, up on Blog Talk Radio. Well, then they wanted to start charging for a 2-hour session. So I started looking around, and we started shows on other stations that didn't work out. So then I built I built another group, and I had trouble with the webmaster, so I dropped it. And then JP and I got together, and we put together Wolf Spirit Radio. And that was in 2011. Well, it's been steadily growing, slowly growing, which is fine with me because numbers don't impress me. The quality of the host, the quality of the listeners, the quality of the chatters is more important to me than numbers. And everyone says, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. I said, you going to pay for it? Well, no. Okay, so much for that. And now we have Wolf Spirit Radio here. We broadcast 24/7, 365 and a quarter days a year. And we do it from one simple reason. Because we like it. We love it. I spend 14 to 17 hours on an unusual day here, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But I do this out of the love I have for people. And it's taken me a long time to understand I can love everybody on the face of this planet. Everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. I love them just because they're here. Does that mean I approve of everything they do? No. And in fact, once in a while we're starting up now again with the Church of the Great Tourette's on Sunday morning from 9 to 11. And you're going to hear all kinds of words there that you can't hear up on any place else, but who cares? I do not believe in censorship. I do not censor my host or their guest. I will not. I will censor people in the chat room who get nasty. I do not allow dissing in my chat room. And I have a chat room that I've had people say they feel safe and comfortable coming into there.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is wonderful. I don't take any money from Wolf Spirit Radio. Fortunately, right now, I don't have to pay anything out of my pocket to keep Wolf Spirit Radio on the air because the people who donate $5 a month, which is less but the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks if you like Starbucks, for unlimited downloads from the archives. And we have right now, so far this year, just this year, we have over 1,500 shows up there.
That's a lot of music. That's a lot of shows.
Yep.
That's a lot of truth. That's a lot of people standing in their sovereignty and taking their belief system to the world so people can begin to apply that to who they are, and what they're going to become. I remember starting here with Wolf Spirit Radio quite some time ago, October 2012, with Tracy Kennedy, and doing a multi-hour show with Tracy on Halloween night, and then moving into some November shows, and then doing an all-day marathon the 21st of December 2012, which was titled The Nothing's Gonna Happen Show. And I'd like to discuss that for a second. We've now seen two 21st of Decembers. Okay. It's at a point where people need to stand into their personal energies and understand no one's going to make this happen until we, the people, step up in the same scale and size as the 1960s and 70s. What does it take for this technology generation to stand up, to turn off the television, to turn off the materialism and consumerism, and it's gripping their soul, so that they can step into the seat of power that's in their heart and do what Dave said, love everyone in the world. You do not have to approve of everything they do, but you can still love them, still express their heart, still see that we are all connected to this world in many different ways, shapes, and form. And so many of the Galactic History shows or the reading shows that I do, people want to hear exactly what it is that I do, or know how it is that I do it. I do it because I have a love in my heart for this planet and this species that we have, this species that is connected and disconnected in many different ways. And we are at a point in our human history where one person can change the world. But for that change to stick, the rest of us have to step up and apply the superglue of spirituality, the superglue of reality, and begin loving this world, this third-dimensional world, so much that we can transform it and create doorways into the fourth or fifth dimension. So many people that come to the radio station like this or the many other ones find themselves spinning their wheels, waiting for others to catch up. Well, those people that are spinning their wheels, it's time to get off the bicycle, the rat race that is the world, and begin to write, to do something, to get into your heart, to get into a space where we can start sharing in a clear, unified field. Having Frank come on to kick off this show was absolutely incredible. He was able to do a clearing and help people understand, and then do a healing for Michael McCracken, who's been a friend of mine and a friend of Dave Corso's and has been a radio host on this station for a very long time. And when we make sure everyone's included into this, even those people that are caught up into the revaluation or those people that believe December 21st is going to come and the whole world's going to wake up. Well, just like last year, the 22nd came and nothing happened. The 22nd will come tomorrow and nothing will happen. The 23rd will come on Sunday, on Monday, and nothing will happen. And then after, there's another deadline and another deadline, sometime in January, when those people have had their energy bubbles pop and start deflating, all their hope is lost, they're going to come back to stations like this. And remember that we put a marathon that said, nothing's going to happen. You can't meditate in a cave. The people in the caves need to come down to the world and start investing in this world and start showing us their love and showing us our light and begin showing people by leading through examples how to have a clean spiritual life, how to deal with spiritual parasites or vampires that are in your life, and begin to have enough love for them that you put up your own protective system of boundaries. We don't have to use words like barriers, boundaries. When we each have a sacred space inside ourselves and do not allow the low-density, low-energy vampire people to come in there, we stand in the seat of our power, which starts in our heart. We move from our mind to our heart. And that heart is your mind. The brain is what runs the programs of our cultural realities. And we're at a point where we, the people, the species of this world, stand in that heart space and tell the programs of culture to go away, to allow that mind to fully bloom, that crown chakra to fully open and connect to your heart. So all of the energy and all of the other people can begin to share somewhat of a unified field. It starts by these threads of consciousness, pods of people coming together, just like on this radio station. We started at 138,333 hits, and we're at 138,523. And here we are now, people that have come together all over the world, Look at the little world map on the left over here. People from all over are coming together, and they're here because each one has their own leadership qualities to them, that they're leading themselves into their own truth. And I believe we have another caller, Michael.
Good afternoon, morning, Andrew.
Good morning to you. How you doing today?
Awesome, wonderful to hear you, man. I've been trying to, I finally heard you on the Galactic History Show this summer or fall when you did with Chris, and just totally resonating with what you're saying. And last few weeks, I'm like, where's Andrew at? Where am I going to find this guy? And then I saw your name on the, that you're going to be here on the solstice, and thought, okay, when's it going to be on today? And here you are, and here I am. Wonderful. Thank you.
Very good. So how can I help you today?
I don't know if it's help, just tuning into the conversation. I know you used the word galactic historian, and usually we talk about history as a past tense. But as you're well aware, linear time that's just
Non-existent.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. Yeah. An illusion we created via social agreement many millions of years ago.
Correct. So what I'm trying to, I didn't expect to call in right now and be talking to you, but hey, the universe is flowing. So two things one thing first, to help people, or at least get your insight on it. One of the things I've been, long time, in this, I don't want to use a negative term, but long time in this, what's the word? Don't want to use struggle, battle, war, any of these old terms of negativity, but in the experience, what I share with people is that we're going to be living in a free planet soon, where no more money exists. And as a galactic historian, the future has already been written. We've already experienced it, and kind of we're not moving in that way in a linear time frame. We're kind of opening back up into this. Could you kind of share a little bit about that?
People are going through a remembering. And we have so much of our race memory that has been lost in some way, shape, or form that the remembering is happening many different ways all over the world. The people in Africa remember one way, the people in South America another, the people in America remember a completely different way. And then you have your propaganda and programming that tries to prevent remembering. And when it comes to anything that's in the future, our future selves, our unity consciousness species is united in a dreamtime concept called the Global Dreamtime Society, where they're unified in their dream world, and they are literally trying to reverse engineer us that are still in disunity reality. And this disunity reality still has the fundamental underpinnings of time being the social agreement, even though time has been erased many times and redefined many times. When the clocks were enforced in the 13 and 1200s and 900 ADs, and even as back as 1000 BC, there were certain clock systems that were put in many, many of the towns, and this was to get people to a system that was called the Babylonian way, in which people would do work, and that work would be based off of an hourly system or a daily system. And since that time that these clocks were put in the major cities and spread around, we've been adhering to this social agreement, not realizing we are taking our belief system as manifesting, co-creating beings and creating something with it so that other beings can incarnate or reincarnate into. Where we are now, how do I put this? We as a species has to look at time and say, I don't agree anymore. And when you say, I don't agree with time, that first underpinning and the final outlook are way different. Way, way different. In unity consciousness, no one's left behind. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. There is no light dictatorship that says everyone will experience this, because that would be just as bad as the dark. I've used this word light dictatorship many, many times. And there are so many people in the light worker industry. I'm not individualizing anyone. I'm calling it as an industry because it is an industry. Are stuck in time, are disconnected from their reality, connected into their healing hearts, connected into materialism and consumerism, disconnected from the sleeping people, and are trying to be leaders and teachers in a world of factionism. And because we're in a world of factionism with all those disconnects and reconnects, people can get themselves mixed up as they're trying to remember one thing that happened 2 years ago, and then try to remember something that's fading in through a race memory, like a past life that's coming through and gives you a whole different perspective on why your life turned out this way. So here we're at. Who are we as a species? That's the big contemplation.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. I knew you'd put it clear words, and I was trying to express. So this morphogenetic field that some people call it, that is kind of have these old programs that we still seem to be flipping back into instead of into the new field. So in one way, it's not some over beings or under beings or whatever we want to call the old powers that were necessarily influencing us, but it's this more like this old field that was set up that we're still keep trapping ourselves back into, as you were saying.
And that's the old belief system that was created by a series of agreements, but a lot of it comes down to the Babylonian business plan where the Anunnaki came in and began rewriting our history. But you got to realize they didn't actually rewrite the history, otherwise it wouldn't have stuck. We rewrote it under their opinions. And when we begin to realize they've been enforcing their opinions and belief systems on us, then generation after generation after generation of human beings have been absorbing these opinions. Reincarnation is not natural to our world. We are an incarnating species. And when we look at the fundamental underpinnings that time, a social agreement, reincarnation, not something natural to here, we become fundamentally separated from our connections to this world. We were never meant to be disconnected as a Dreamtime species. We were always meant to be globally connected as a Dreamtime society, as a global Dreamtime society. We look at those foundations and then we compare and contrast to where we are now. People all over the world are doing their meditations for this 21st. And believe it or not, December 21st, 2012 is still happening right now. We are all of our past, present, and future lives simultaneously existing. There are those of us that have gotten to the point in consciousness where we can perceive this and communicate to other versions of ourselves in the past, in the present, or in the future, and realizing there could be as many as 100 present versions of us because we've experienced what I've called timeline genocide. And this timeline genocide confuses souls at the most basic level until it creates a soul sickness, where this soul sickness is what, like magnets, attracts people to reincarnation, thinking that they can break it by being in reincarnation because it's a belief system we didn't start with, when in fact it was imported here many millions of years ago. Thousands of other belief systems, millions of other belief systems from around the galaxy have been imported here because everybody's been throwing their spice into the cooking stew of Earth. There's 7,300,000,000 of us. There's another 10 billion beings on this world that are fully sentient, that have arms and legs, mouths and butts, that we don't know. They live under the water, they live in the mountains, they live underground, and we are separated from those brothers and sisters. There are non-physical beings, another 30 billion of those, that we don't know about, that we're not allowed to know about. There are soul family structures that we haven't been encountered in millions of years. So many people have come to a lifetime where they meet someone, call it true love, or you just absolutely know them. That's soul family. And as we begin to dream in global dream time again, as a society, of unified society, this is how we, the individuals, can actuate unity consciousness by looking for our future selves in unity consciousness, in dream time, and say, let's reverse engineer this together. Let's work as a team of all the I am present selves.
I hear you, man. Right on. So, what I'm looking at is solutions to, in a way, end this game. or this past influence, which not just past, but this past influence, so we can move into this, if we want to use the word new earth, or the present now. And I feel like connecting with you now. We've always been connected, we know that. That we're doing this in terms of linking our hearts again, recognizing each other once more, and confirming what we know in our hearts. And what I'm trying to get to is, what specific action, besides our own work on ourselves, can we do in terms of really changing what people are perceiving out there in terms of the business, the money, all that illusion, in a way that people are so like, oh, that's real. And I'm like, that's going to be gone.
That's the hologram.
Right. So what I'm getting at is, let's change this hologram. We have the power.
You have to do it at an individual level. That's why this is standing in your sovereignty. That's why this marathon show is to realize meditation serves one function, to help you understand there's a hologram. But you are the one that sits in the seat of your heart in sovereignty and says, these are my boundaries. I am in control of my hologram. I am a master of my hologram. And I do not let the cultural influencing of a system of domination, the control that was meant to hijack the hologram from your I am presence. We are naturally multidimensional beings. So how does one look at the hologram? Well, you got to stop it. Revoke your contracts with it. Invoke your contracts back with the original concept of this world. Get creative. I've created contract revocations, and I say all the time, write your own. I wrote those in a very specific energy format so that people can begin to see how deep the system goes to hijack your hologram. Okay? We live in a DNA skin suit, and we project into it, and we are connected through a divine trust with God to be in that body, to be in this skin suit. And in this divine trust, we, the individual people, have the responsibility of cleaning our energy field, being master of our sovereign domain in such a way that we can lead others by example of how to be clear of parasites, how to be clear of stream hijacking information. Because there's some information out there, like this revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, or the Love and Light community that says this December 21st we're going to fix what we did wrong in December 2012. You know, that those people that say we're going to wake up to a world of love and light. No. We as a species do it together. There's no one group that leads you out. That's factionism. So by looking at the hologram and how it wants to apply prismatic fractal factionism to you to separate you from your original hologram, your original agreements, your original understanding that you were here to experience free will, because many, many beings here had not experienced free will at the level of evolution we are going to now. The reason this world and this system of domination has gotten so bad is because we created it millions of years ago so we could find remedy and resolve to the mistakes our ancestors made and then passed on to us via what's called ancestral karma, something that is not natural to our world, another imported concept. There's entire soul lineages and soul families that had never experienced ancestral karma before, and all of a sudden had the weight of one or two people who created timeline genocides and killed trillions of people. And all of a sudden, those people don't even live in this universe anymore. They've moved on. And that debt is still in that soul family. And those soul families are here to experience free will to how to say no, so that the universe steps in and finds remedy and resolve to the equation of ancestral karma, so we, the individuals, can stand in our heart space and say as individuals, I do not accept ancestral karma, or I do accept it because I'm here to find remedy and resolve for those great beings that did do something positive or negative so that the world could change.
Yes. Another thing I look at it sometimes is it's like there's a channel blocked, and I mean whether it's in our vision. Lack of a better words, say you have cable TV and you don't have the digital upgrade service and you don't get all the channels. Sometimes I look at it just like this, that the channel is blocked and we don't see the rest of reality, so to say. It's not because we don't have the vision to see it, it's because the channel is blocked in a way. And how can we go about clearing this channel so we do see more of what is?
It starts by clearing your field and understanding that the field of energy you live in, every cell in your body is toxic. It is opposite of the way it naturally lives. Therefore, we are magnets for toxics as a physical body and a spiritual body. And the system we created is filled with concepts to create more toxicity. Anything from psychic parasites to chemtrails to vaccines, all that other stuff. We have to see this hologram as ours and begin to deny access to it so that we have a firm egg of energy or boundary layer around us so that we can manifest inside. The old adage, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, technically it's the egg that created the void space so we can incarnate into a fetus. The fetus cannot exist without the spirit coming into it in some way, shape, or form. The egg is the boundary layer that we all have as a right of existence in this human world so we can create a bubble of reality around us. And we determine what we allow into our reality. The toxicity has become so addictive, materialism, consumerism, so on and so forth, that we have to detoxify ourselves from the world. Turn off the television. Start reading a book. Do something so that boundary layer, that egg of energy that's around you, is empowered so that the energy entity inside that is manipulating the DNA strands through the energetic system of light body to DNA body and the connections so that we detoxify the egg and the inside so our spirits can be fully present so we can begin to make decisions about our memories and how we begin remembering in such a way that we can share this heart truth so deeply that it begins to resonate with the hearts of others.
Thank you, brother.
And Tracy Kennedy, are you back? Just a second here. I got some questions here in the chat room. From Shaka 331, the collective hive mind, what is the effect of this in the individual? Does breaking the soul contracts release them? Well, soul contracts are at a fundamental layer. Your first attempt at taking a wrench and trying to turn the rusty bolt. You don't do a soul contract once. You do it dozens and dozens and dozens of times with all of your heart space behind it. And then you create new ones and new ones and new ones. Soul contracts are extreme. The ones that I created were for people to look at them and create their own. So to answer the question, how does it release us from soul contracts? Only the I Am Presence can do that. And it has to be present long enough that you begin to enforce the boundary layer that I told you about. All right, the next question. What is up with the sun that exploded in 1970 resulting in the Syrians replacing a copy? I'm going to call bullshit where there's bullshit. That never happened. That's reading direct from the Akashic Record. I've been asked that question a few dozen times. Our sun never did explode. Our sun is the fundamental structure that allows soul families to exist in this part of space. There are 133 separate astral cities that exist in our sun, and they are the 133 soul families that came together to create a sun, to extend contracts to a galaxy, and that galaxy extended contracts to a universe so that we could have a commerce between universes for souls that were looking for experience. The sun never exploded. The next question. What blocks other links? Wondering, I was eating some toast. Somebody else asked me a question there.
Hey, Andrew, I remember you sharing one time about, I believe it was you, about there's more planets in our solar system than we see.
66.
Exactly. I had this experience once, and I was up in the Himalayas about 15, 20 years ago, up in the mountains, And this being, who I knew, bounced off the stars in a way and appeared in front of me. And this sphere came out between us, and we went into it. And then when we came back out of it, he was like, "It's yours." And I was like, "What?" And for me, it was the earth. And he was like, "It's yours for safekeeping." And I swallowed it and put it inside me. And I was always like, what? Haven't fully grasped what was this experience.
Believe it or not, I've probably run into several hundred people that have had similar experiences where the earth came down and they ended up eating it. Okay? It's because you're a multidimensional, fractured being. You have 4 to 5 different soul matrices. And when you have that many soul matrix as a multidimensional being, and the world offers you that, it's because at some point in time, your goal was to become a planet. And you had to have the experience of this world through the symbiotic relationship with it inside your organ system, so that when you come for your unification time and you begin to unify all your different soul matrices, you can come together and say, I have learned everything that Earth wanted to teach me and what I wanted to teach myself about free will, so I can become a sovereign free will planet, and then find a solar system to extend contracts to that have a rich soul family relation to your soul and the people you've gone through your existence with, so that people, once your planet is formed, can begin incarnating into your DNA records that you create through your Akashic record of who you were. Earth was a person before she was a planet and had an Akashic record separate of the Akashic record that she has on her world. Soul families are the fundamental understanding of how trade is done between solar systems so that experiences can be fulfilled, because the universe is always looking for those new people to create brand new experiences so other people come here to this universe for experiences, and when they're done here, they go somewhere else, or another planet, another solar system, another galaxy, or another universe. You, having that experience, are looking for the planetary experience, the pinnacle experience that Earth represents. So when your awakening is done, you can begin reuniting your soul matrices and then determine if you're ready to be a planet or you need more experiences as a physical being or an energy being before you extend contracts to a solar system.
Thank you. And what was interesting also inside that was there was beings that tried to get this out of me.
Oh, yeah.
And, I didn't go for that.
Well, they would get it out of you because probably at that time there were attachments to the system of domination and control through ancestral karma. And when you ate it, it triggered a big, oh my God, we can't have this person have it. We must take as much away as possible. And that begins what I call the fundamental architecture programming in the blueprints of our facade reality that says, take away, take away, take away. Don't allow this person to awaken.
Thank you. Andrew, it was such a pleasure to listen with. Thank you, man.
You are quite welcome. I enjoy doing these radios and these radio shows, especially these marathons, because people come together. And we have Tracy Kennedy back. Tracy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Andrew. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's been a great kickoff to our marathon show. We have an incredible audience going, and that meditation Frank did was outstanding, and that healing we did for Michael McCracken, I'm really feeling, Michael's got a really good chance of pulling through now.
I really felt that too. And, for the first 2 hours, wonderful speakers and the ideas we were talking about before the show. And now I'm kind of wondering if you're feeling this, and we've been talking about it for the last couple of years off and on, about how this alignment with the photon belt is a little different, or kind of leading up to, because everyone was panicking about, the 2012 thing. And I think it was you and I, the voices in the wilderness, saying, that's just the door's not even open yet. That's just the door. It's been unlocked. And we're all feeling it, right?
Yeah, well, let's look at the door concept. 2012 was the golden brick road, the yellow brick road, that led to a cul-de-sac with 3 houses. You're familiar with how they have, roads that turn into a circle, and you have 3 houses at the end, a cul-de-sac with a bunch of mailboxes. The first mailbox was 2012, the second mailbox is 2013, and the third mailbox is 2014. And we as souls, old, middle-aged, and young, had to choose a mailbox through our own heart discernment. 2012 was the first choice people had. So they walked up to the door of 2012, knocked on it, and no one answered. Some people sat in front of the door and meditated. Other people grabbed a computer and tried to work with the RV. Some people stepped into sovereignty. Some people did this. Some people went into martial arts. Some people stepped up on the radio. But only the brave few decided to open the door because they saw their own name on the mailbox. That's what you did. You saw your name, you opened it, and go, I know this house. This is 2012. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my radio show here in the presence of 2012 with all the lovely people listening. 2013, we all come down that golden brick road to the cul-de-sac again and see a whole bunch of people still sitting out front of the 2012 door who never went into the house. All of a sudden, they migrate to the 2013 door and don't see their name on the door. Don't walk in. Don't change their hologram. Continue repeating their mistakes over and over again. And now whereas we are at the pinnacle of 2013 with this 21st date that's coming and going, and December 22nd will roll around, and December 23rd and 24th and 25th, and there will be no RV. It'll be a bunch of people sitting outside the door waiting to see that their name is on that door of Unity Consciousness. Now the door of 2014, people like you, me, and Dave, and others have already opened all 3 doors and realized that we got to get people to come inside and do what? Detoxify so they can hear and begin to remember.
That seems to be the key, or one of the keys is to clear our own personal bodies. And it's just simple, whether it's drinking some pure water, like you said, not turning on the TV, and this will help clear our own channels of communication and opening of the heart. And it's not necessarily anything external that we need to do.
Yes.
It's like a potted plant. And I know you guys are going to laugh, but if you take a potted plant that's been in the shade for its life and put it directly in the sun too quickly, it will die from shock. Well, it's kind of the same with humans. We have to gradually accumulate ourselves to handle this intense more light that we're getting right now. Now, did I do that? No. I'm an Aries. I decided I'm running in there and I'm going to find out, if it's on fire when I get in there. And I would not say that's the way to go, because we're all, our water is dead. People live in cities for the most part. Oxygen levels are so low. The food is cooked and irradiated, genetically modified, pesticided, herbicided, laced with preservatives. We have to start removing these things on a physical level, because we still have a body. For the beings out there without one, don't rub it in. But to handle these highly redefined light from this photon belt that we're specifically getting today, but it's been leading up to this point. It's why so many people are having light body experiences or seeing orbs in natural daylight and things like that. Those gamma rays from the photon belt are felt really strongly in our bodies and in our cells and in our DNAs. Now, gamma rays are healthy to a pure body, but toxic to an unpure one. So some of us are getting stronger, but people unprepared with this new gamma radiation are shocked. There's blindness, brain damage, sterilization, impairments of all kinds. So the purification, like Andrew keeps saying, yes, we have to, since we're dealing with our body, deal with that and deal with the inside, our minds. What are you thinking? This photon shower is real, and it's proven that it's beyond ultraviolet light, and it can cause mutations and damages all over an unprepared body.
The light body is what's taking the big hit. Our light body comes into our DNA body, and they connect at a level that's unseen by our eyes. They connect at an energy level and a fundamental reality layer, and that barrier where one reality touches the other reality, where the light body touches the DNA body, that's what's being hit by these photons, because they want to. The photon's purpose is to enhance that connection. But because we're so toxic and so confused as a global species, it's stretching that ladder where they're connecting. It's fractalated.
Exactly. And that's why you're seeing so many people just freaking out.
Yep.
And I've noticed this anger in ways that are unprecedented. And even the ones, and everybody's trying to do a good thing. I still believe that. That most people are trying the best they can, but they've been all knocked off kilter, and it's like the ladder is missing some spokes now.
Yeah. Well, in an odd way, everyone is right. Every belief system is right, because we're infinite beings. And when you're infinite beings in charge of your own hologram, literally everything is right, because you're always creating it. You know, all these belief systems are running into a crash course. I call it the belief system trains are all running into a crash course. Millions and millions and millions, until they all come to this infinite moment where they realize they were all right from their own perspective, but there's an infinite amount of perspectives.
Hey, Andrew. Back in, well, I'm going to use time, even though I feel like you about it. But when it was 2002, I had strong feelings that, hey, I'm not waiting to 2012. They've already messed with the time. 2002 was 2012 to me. And so I was, really doing a lot of work back then, because I'm not going to wait 10 years till everyone's focusing on this so-called time in the future. It was always now, even back then to me, because I felt they've been playing with the so-called time, as you've been saying. So it was always the present now to me. And could you share that a little bit more?
I'm going to come back to that at the top of the hour. We're going to take a break now. So, Dave, why don't you put us on some break, and we'll come